Good evening and welcome. This is a public hearing of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the City of Evanston. The zoning ordinance directs this body to hear applications for major variations, special uses, and appeals from decisions of the zoning administrator. Depending on the type of matter, this board will either make a final determination or send its recommendation to the City Council. Present tonight are board members Andrew Gallimore, Beth McLennan, and Violetta Cullen. My name is Matt Rogers, the current chairman, and therefore we have a quorum. Also present from the City Zoning Department are Melissa Klotz, and we are welcoming Lori Pearson this evening for her first meeting, and we also have City Attorney Mario Tretto. This is a formal meeting, and there are rules that govern our proceedings. Most important, only one person speaks at a time to accurately record proceedings. Anyone who wishes to address the board regarding any matter on the agenda will have the opportunity to do so at the appropriate time. Our normal procedure is to hear from staff on the documents on file. We will then receive testimony and other evidence from the applicant or appellant. After hearing from the applicant or appellant, any person with a legal interest in property located within 500 feet of the subject property may present evidence, reasonably question witnesses, or seek a continuance of the hearing. Next, others who wish to make a statement regarding the matter may do so at that time. When all opposing testimony and other statements have been heard, the applicant or appellant will be given the opportunity for rebuttal or a closing statement. All testimony will be under oath. Although we do not apply the strict rules of evidence, please limit your testimony or statement to your personal knowledge. When you testify or make a statement, please state your name and address and be sure to sign up on the provided sign-in sheet. We are audio and video recorded in this space. Please make sure that you are at a microphone when asking questions or making statements so that you can be properly recorded. All proceedings are subject to broadcast at a later date. When all of the testimony, evidence, and statements have been received, the board will close its record and begin its deliberations. Any matter not concluded on tonight's hearing will be continued to our next regularly scheduled meeting. We have 4 matters on the agenda this evening. I have been informed by staff that the last issue, 802 Florence Avenue, will need a continuance to our next meeting. So we'll get to that in a minute. But is the applicant from 2114 Jackson Avenue present? Yes. 1910 Wesley Avenue and 635 Chicago Avenue? All right. The first matter of business this evening is to approve the minutes from our meeting on April 15th, 2014. Has everyone had an opportunity to look through those, and are there any changes or edits?
No, good.
Is there a motion to approve them?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 It has 4 for approval, so those will be approved. At this time, we don't have the person from 802 is not showing representing a representative, correct? So at this time, I will ask if there is a motion to continue 802 Florence Avenue to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be on the
20th. I make a motion to continue to the meeting of May the 20th, the matter of 802 Florence, 14 ZM, ZV0040.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 That matter will be continued to that meeting. At this time, then, we will begin with the first matter on our agenda, 2114 Jackson Avenue. I believe before we read it into the record, Ms. McLennan has a statement.
Yes, for the record, I want to note that I am acquainted with the applicant, but that I do not believe that is going to affect my judgment in this matter.
Thank you. Ms. Klotz, if you would please read the matter into the record.
Craig Strong, lessee, applies for a special use permit for commercial indoor recreation, Precision Multisport, at 2114 Jackson Avenue. 2114 Jackson Avenue is located in the MXC Mixed Use Employment District, which requires a special use permit for commercial indoor recreation facilities to operate. Zoning Code Section 61343. The Zoning Board of Appeals makes a recommendation to City Council, the determining body for this case. Documents submitted as part of the record include special use application submitted March 26, 2014, standards form, zoning analysis, business plan, plat of survey dated February 5, 1990, site plans, image of property, aerial view of property, zoning map, and Spark meeting minutes of April 16th, 2014.
Thank you. At this time, if I could have anybody who feels they may speak to us on this matter be sworn by raising their right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout the course of these proceedings? Yes. Thank you. If you'd please come up to the microphone and give us your name and address.
My name is Craig Strong. I'm applying for the property at 2114 Jackson.
All right, and if you would tell us, please, about your project.
Precision Multisport is a coaching company and a personal training company. We have been in business since 2009. We do a number of different things. So some of the things we do are in our facility, and some of the things that we do are out in the community. In the facility itself, we do things that are very similar to personal training. On a one-on-one basis, a client will come in, work with a personal trainer. We also have group training where individuals will come in, they'll work with a trainer, and there's a group there, maybe 5 to 10 people. We also have a setup very similar to what you would consider like a spinning class, if you're familiar with spin bikes. You would actually bring your bike to us, and we set it up on some trainers and things like that. So the class sizes, average class sizes that we have in the facility are around 10 to 15. Most of our classes are scheduled, our bigger classes are scheduled very early in the morning, and during the day we have more of the kind of one-on-one classes. In the afternoon after school that's out, we might have some of our more of the kids come in. But that would be about it for traffic in the afternoon. And most of that traffic is actually drop off, like the parents will actually drop their kids off and leave the facility. They won't actually stick around.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you say early in the morning, what time are you
Our
talking?
first classes start at 5:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So I just want to, we have some information. I just kind of want to make sure that the information hasn't changed. It looks like class sizes will be about 10 to 15 people.
Correct.
And how many classes will you have going at any one time?
At most, we have one class running at a time due to the facility, the resources that we have in the facility, the type of equipment we're using.
Okay. And it looks like the requested hours of operation are 5:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 5:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays?
Correct.
And you will have how many employees?
We have the number changes as far as we have some people that work in the facility itself, and then we have some people that work online that do online service. So they do online coaching. You might contact them. They might help you through a triathlon or a marathon. So as far as what it looks like online and what we actually have in the facility might be two different things. That's the only reason why I'm explaining that. So in the facility itself, we might have maybe 2 to 3 instructors at one time.
So you say your peak hours are like 5:30 till,
5:30 till about 7:30 in the morning,
oh, good.
and then
And then in the evening, do you have another peak, you think?
we don't have so much in the evening at all. As far as like more just when the kids are out of school. So probably in that 3:30 to 5:30 range, and then it drops off a little bit. We have a class that runs at about 6 or 6:30, and again we'll have usually that's about 2 nights a week, and that'll be about 10 to 15 at
Yeah.
most.
Well, that's good because, you know, Social Security is right by there, and it's a crowded place from like 8:30 to 3, so it doesn't interfere with those hours, is why I was asking.
And how many parking spaces do you have on site? And I think you have some off site as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. The street in front of the facility is very open. There's no parking restrictions on that street. We've been through there multiple times during the day, and it seems to be very open. I know that there's some of the Sunday church traffic that parks there and things like that. We don't have a lot going on Sundays. We have in the back, we're looking at 14 spots in the back of the building across the alley that the landlord has opened up for our specific use. And then obviously there's the street parking. I would say we're already in the area right now. We're already on Simpson as it is. So we're at 1611 Simpson, which is literally a block down the street. We haven't had any conflicts yet with parking.
What kind of parking availability did you have at that location?
It's just street,
Just street?
no parking lot.
And you didn't have any problems?
No.
Okay, so you're actually going to have more parking now?
This is going to be wonderful.
Okay.
We actually have parking directly behind the unit for staff or for specific use, and then we have 2 spots in front.
You mentioned that you have a current facility. Is that the only other facility that you have, or are there multiple locations?
Only one.
Okay. And how long has that been in operation?
We've been in operation for 2 years at that facility.
And is that one closing and relocating to this space?
Correct. That one is closing. We're moving into a much more functional space for us.
Okay. Other questions from the board?
No, no further questions.
All right. Is there anybody else who wished to speak to us on the matter for 2114 Jackson Avenue?
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Anything you want to say in summation before we close the record? All right. So with that, we will close the record and begin our deliberations. I'll ask for general comments from the board while I find our standards.
I mean, I like it. It seems like it's a good use for this neighborhood. Fit in nicely, I think.
Sure.
I mean, I think this is the sort of business we would expect to see coming into something that is a mixed-use district. It seems to be bordered on all sides by similar mixed-use districts or commercial districts. So it doesn't seem to have a huge impact on any residential area that it directly abuts or anything. So with that, we have a series of standards that we have to walk through in order to make sure that the project meets all of those standards. And if it does, then we can make a recommendation to City Council to approve it. If we feel any of the standards are not met, we can either place conditions or make a denial of recommendation to City Council. But with that, we will go through the standards for a special use. Number one, the special use is on the list of special uses in the zoning ordinance. We look at the zoning ordinance and discover that in a mixed-use district, that a commercial indoor recreation facility is one of the permitted uses, so this standard has been met. The requested special use is in keeping with the purposes and policies of the comprehensive general plan. In looking through what the idea for a mixed-use area is, it is designed to promote the growth and redevelopment of businesses, to attract and retain businesses, and to retain a strong mix of residential, commercial, and institutional uses. As I mentioned, this being a primarily mixed-use district, we find a little bit of different types of businesses going on in this particular business is located presently just down the street. And so it's nice to see that when they're looking for a new place to redevelop, that they've decided to stay within Evanston, and I believe that this standard has been met. Number three, the special use will not cause a negative cumulative effect when its effect is considered in conjunction with the cumulative effect of various special uses. The fact that it sounds like they're actually going to probably be less impactful in the neighborhood in terms of parking, which is, of course, always one of the major concerns that comes before us, but also the fact that they will be taking and redeveloping a space to be better used to its better potential makes this standard met as well. Number four, the requested special use does not interfere with or diminish the value of property in the neighborhood. With this being a commercial and mixed-use area, there's no reason to believe that anybody's property values would be impacted negatively. If anything, having improved storefronts in the area only increases the property values of all businesses in the area. So this standard has been met. Number five, the requested special use can be adequately served by public facilities and services. The fact that this is an existing building and it has existed in this condition, and it doesn't seem like with the number of people that will be using the facility at any one time will be putting any undue strain. I believe this standard has been met. Number 6, the requested special use does not cause undue traffic congestion. In looking at the location, this is on one of our major streets in town, with Simpson abutting it, and therefore it seems to be in an area which people can easily get to and get out of. We've heard a little bit of mention about some other business in the area having a large number of people coming and going, but I don't believe that this will have any undue congestion causing on the neighborhood, so I believe this standard has been met. Number 7, the requested special use preserves significant historical and architectural resources. This particular building, to my knowledge, doesn't have any particular historical or architectural character that needs to be retained, so I believe that this standard has been met. Number 8, the requested special use preserves significant natural and environmental features. Again, being in a commercial district, usually the natural and environmental features are not as noticeable as they are quite often in our residential neighborhoods, but because of the fact that there doesn't seem to be a lot of anything happening on the exterior of the building, I don't believe that there will be any major changes there, so this standard is met. And number 9, the requested special use complies with all other applicable regulations of the district in which it is located and other applicable ordinances. We've heard nothing to make us believe that there is anything that would be going on in this facility that would require anything in terms of special use, beyond the special use that we are being asked for, and I believe that this standard also has been met then. Does everyone agree with the finding on the standards?
Yes.
Yes.
With that, is there a motion for a recommendation to City Council?
I make a motion in the matter of 14ZMJV-0041-2114 Jackson Avenue that we approve the special use permit for commercial indoor recreation.
Before it's seconded, I would add in, usually on a lot of these special uses, we put in hours.
Oh.
And so with the hours that have been requested, and typically we give a little bit beyond, but with this being a commercial area, I really don't see a huge impact. I would recommend a 5:30 to 10 p.m. weekday and 5:30 to 8 p.m. weekend hours, if that's agreeable with everyone.
Agreed.
So with that being added into the original motion, is there a second?
I second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, in the matter for 2114 Jackson Avenue, all those in favor of a positive recommendation to City Council, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? With 4 ayes and 0 opposing, it will go to City Council with a recommendation for approval. Melissa will work with you on what needs to happen next with all of that. 8. The second matter on our agenda this evening is 1910 Wesley Avenue. And at this point, if Melissa would please read that into the record.
Gary Joyce, property owner, applies for major zoning relief to construct a one-car attached garage and driveway. The applicant requests a 12-foot front yard setback where a minimum 27 feet is required, zoning code section 6877A1, and an impervious surface ratio of 71% where a maximum 60% is allowed, zoning code section 6879A. The Zoning Board of Appeals is the determining body for this case. Documents submitted as part of the record include variance application submitted March 28, 2014, standards form, zoning analysis, plat of survey dated March 11, 2014, site plan, elevations, permeable pavement info sheets from applicant, image of property, aerial view of property, zoning map, and Spark meeting minutes of April 2, 2014.
Thank you. At this time, if I could have anyone who may be speaking to us regarding 1910 Wesley Avenue be sworn by raising their right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout the course of these proceedings? Yes. Thank you. If you'd please come up to the lectern and tell us your name and address.
I'm Gary Joyce. My address is 1925 Wesley. The subject property is 1910 Wesley.
And I'm sorry, your address again, please?
1925 Wesley.
1925. Okay. And if you would tell us, please, about the project.
Well, the project is to add a garage to the house. We've owned the house for about 30 years, and unfortunately, we're not able to add a two-car garage. A one-car is the best that we can do. We're also going to be adding a parking space in the back, so we'll have 2 parking spaces.
So the idea is, and looking at the plan that we see up on the screen here, the parking space in the rear of the property will be an open pad, is that correct?
That's correct.
And then you are adding on the south side, that's where you're building a garage?
Yes.
Which will be next to, and I don't remember what the building is there, but there's a large parking lot.
It's 1403 Emerson. They used to have a garage, but that has since been torn down. But there is
Okay.
a driveway adjacent to the proposed driveway.
And in the materials that were presented to us, there was a lot of information, and let me just go to it, on permeable concrete pavers.
Right. That was a recommendation in our first meeting, that because we're at 71%, it's a small lot. It's only, well, you guys have the size of it, but it was recommended that we get as much pervious pavers as possible, so the architect did work on that and has created probably as close to 60% as possible.
And so is the plan to use the permeable?
Yes.
Okay.
And the plan has been presented to the city, and it's now with the building department. And basically what we've done is create a ribbon of 1 foot in the back area, as well as 1 foot in the driveway. In addition to that, the existing patio will be cut out, and that will have a 1 foot ribbon as well. So as much as possible, there'll be pervious pavers.
So a question for staff, the number of 70%, 71% that was in our packets, is that with consideration for?
No, that is it, as if everything, all of the hardscape was concrete or asphalt.
Okay, and our current is 20% credit?
Correct. So numbers-wise, the impervious surface calculation won't drop very much. I think it's about 1%. But that's because we only have the 20% credit, while the materials may be more than 20% pervious.
Okay.
The literature that staff requests regarding the pervious nature of this is that it should be equal to 100%. Now, that being said, that's what the manufacturer and that's what our architect magazines say. However, at this point, the staff said we only give 20, but if you have information regarding that, we would like to see it.
Right. Were there any other considerations for water retention on the property? I know sometimes people come to us and have rain barrels as part of their downspout system.
It's a great idea. We haven't included that, but I have two on my other properties on Wesley, and I like them a lot. Be great to add that.
Okay. Yeah, because usually, I mean, that's our big concern anytime we start getting this high. And in looking at a number of the properties around you also having, have you had any issues with water on that property?
1910 Wesley, we have had zero issues with water. It is a dry basement, and part of that is because we're on Wesley, which is that Wesley Ridge Asbury. It's very high, it's all sand, and water is never retained.
Okay. Are there other questions from the board?
I just have some concerns about this, sir, because in this neighborhood, this alley that's right next to the property,
Yes.
this is a rental property, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you do have a parking in the back. I saw a car in the back on the pad, right?
It's possible.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for the tenants, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But this alley is a really well-traveled part of this area because
Yes.
there's all those one-ways around there, and sometimes
Right.
that's the only way to get around.
Sure.
And this driveway you're talking about is really so close to that alley. Plus, it seems like the structure will take up most of the lot,
Which structure?
the one you're proposing.
The garage would take up most of the lot. The garage is 14 by 20 approximately. And right now, a good deal of that is already either a sidewalk or a patio.
Yeah,
So in terms of the difference, it's not that great.
not that much more. It's just that
It
also
gives-
that driveway thing is like there's a driveway right next to you. There's an alley like right on the other side of you,
Yes.
and then another driveway right there. And there's a lot of kids over here. Is the only thing.
Oh yeah, we're very happy to have the kids. We own 6 properties on Wesley now, and we have put in 6 garages on Wesley. So we're one of the last homes without a garage on Wesley, and really the expectations to improve the neighborhood is that you'll have at least one car garage. Everyone else
And it's
does.
beautifully kept. Your property is,
Thank you.
for this neighborhood. I will tell you, compliment you on
Sure,
it.
thanks.
It just seems so tight. That's all to me.
Sure.
Right.
So the parking pad that exists in back, there's no proposed change to that in terms of size.
No, we're not going to increase it. What we're going to do is take out the concrete and put the pervious pavers instead.
So in actuality, that particular portion of the property should become more
Yes.
permeable.
Right, because it's about 12 by 19, and now it will be, concrete will be 1 foot ribbon around the exterior, so all the rest, a good 80% of it will be the pervious pavers.
And I'm noticing this is a very small lot,
Yes, it is.
approximately 40 by 75.
Yes.
So there's not a lot of room to do much of anything on the property.
This is the best plan we could come up with to satisfy the zoning requirements that we have off-street parking.
And the project has been noticed to a number of neighbors. Have you discussed the project with any neighbors?
Yes, I just received yesterday 3 copies signed that they approve, and I've talked to 2 of my neighbors, and they enthusiastically approved and liked the plan. I've heard from no one that did not approve.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the board?
No further questions.
If not, I know Alderman Holmes is here, and
Right.
I think she wanted to speak to us possibly on this.
Mr. Joyce may not have heard from anyone, but I did, and I actually asked them to call Melissa, but evidently they didn't. I did go out to make a phone call because I didn't realize that this wouldn't be coming to council, so I sort of misled them by saying you could come here or come to council. So there's concerns about the lot just being too small for what's being proposed. in terms of the garage, because I think you could have maybe on the pad or extend that to have 2 parking places in the back on the pad rather than the garage, was what was said to me. So I just wanted to let you know that there is a concern.
Before you step away, what is the, she's not the neighbor within 500 feet, and she has a continuance on behalf of, in the capacity of. I have a question for council. Typically, in a situation like this where we hear there might be opposition, a neighbor who came would be able to ask for a continuance of the case to the next case. The alderman who's before us, I don't believe, owns property within 500 feet.
Sure don't. No, I'm way away.
But what is our standing if the alderman were to request a continuance, since there seemed to be a little confusion even up to the point that I just turned to Melissa a few moments ago and said, are we really the determining body in this because there's a parking pad? I don't want to do anything illegal, but if there are legitimate concerns, I would like to at least have them heard.
Okay. Let me reference the code really quick, and then I'll get back to you with an answer.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to let him take a quick look at this. I just want to make sure that if there are legitimate concerns from neighbors, that they at least have the opportunity to be heard, with us not making a decision because there seemed to be some confusion about whether or not we would be the determining body or council would be the determining body. So with that, what I'm going to do is table this particular discussion for a few moments. We'll hear the other case, which I don't believe will be a very long case, and then we'll address this one after that, if that's okay with everyone.
That's fine.
Thank you. So with that, we will put 1910 on the table.
Do you need a motion for that?
I do.
I move that in the case of 1910 Wesley Avenue, that we table our discussion until which time council can provide us with more information that we need in order to ascertain the way the case will go.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So that matter will be tabled. We will, at this time, go ahead and hear the case for 635 Chicago Avenue while council continues to look into the question from the chair. Go ahead, please.
Larry Murphy, lessee, applies for a special use permit for a Type 2 restaurant, Yo Fresh Yogurt Cafe, at 635 Chicago Avenue, Unit 7. 635 Chicago Avenue, Unit 7 is located in the C1A Commercial Mixed Use District, which requires a special use permit for Type 2 restaurants to operate. Zoning Code Section 610.33. The Zoning Board of Appeals makes a recommendation to City Council, the determining body for this case. Documents submitted as part of the record include special use application submitted April 1st, 2014, standards form, zoning analysis, plat of survey dated August 22nd, 2013, site plans, business plan, image of property, aerial view of property, zoning map, and Spark meeting minutes of April 16th, 2014.
Thank you. At this time, anybody who may be speaking to us in the matter for 635 Chicago, if I could please swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout the course of these proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. And if you could begin by stating your name and address, please.
Yes, I wanted to put it in the record that I'm not Larry Murphy. I'm Jean Murphy, his wife of 47 years. We are planning the Yo Fresh Yogurt Cafe. Can you hear me without the mic?
We may be able to,
Okay.
but we're being recorded, and so I just want to make
Okay.
sure that they're able to pick you up.
Okay. Yo Fresh is a national chain. They have stores throughout the Midwest and Texas, California, Boston, and Wisconsin, and we will be, I think, the third one in the state of Illinois, and we hope to open the weekend that the Custer Art Fair. So that's what we're planning. At any rate, Yo Fresh is a self-serve yogurt cafe, and we hoped to be able to seat at least 25 to 30 persons. We'll be open daily from 11 till 11, Monday through Friday, and on Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday from 1 until 9 o'clock. We'll have approximately 5 staffers, 1 general manager, 2 persons working 20 hours a week, and 2 working about 12 hours a week. And so, in addition to the self-serve, we will offer some gourmet coffees and teas and other related products. And it's a healthy alternative, if you will, to the traditional calorie-loaded desserts that we all crave. So that's what we are planning to do.
Just a couple of quick questions for you. I've noticed that you plan to have some seating in the space. About how many
Yes.
people do you anticipate will be able to be seated in?
About 25 to 30.
Okay. And how many employees do you project to have during any shift at any one time?
2, perhaps 3 during the summer months when we anticipate having huge crowds.
And this, if I...
And that's paid employees. My
Okay.
husband and I are extras.
All right. This, if I remember correctly, is the set of shops next to the new Walgreens
Right.
that has been updated. Do you have any parking in that space that is assigned to you, or is it all open parking?
It's all open parking.
And for the employees that you anticipate working there, will parking be provided somewhere for them, or will they be asked to find parking on the street?
We're asking them to park on the, I guess it would be the west side of the lot itself. So there'd probably only be 2 parking spaces, but on the west side of the lot. But none that is reserved at this juncture.
Okay. And is any of that parking part of your lease, or is it just
No.
that's okay? So that's where. How many parking spaces are in that lot, roughly? Do you know?
Probably about 40, not counting Walgreens.
Right.
But in the space between Walgreens and, I guess that would be the start of the Amley property.
And in terms of deliveries, how many deliveries do you anticipate getting in a week? And how will those be handled in terms of delivery? Will it be alley access, or will they be coming through the front of the store?
Well, I would imagine that they would be alley access because we do have a rear door itself that is off of the alley, but once per week.
Okay. And if you could tell me again the hours that you had
Okay.
mentioned.
Monday through Saturday, 11 to 11, and on Sunday, 1 to 9.
Okay. One of the things that we always ask for people who are looking to get a special use for a type 2 restaurant is the city has a litter collection plan which states that you are responsible for keeping the area around your store clear of litter, whether it be yours or someone else's. It's a 250-foot radius around your store. So has that been shared with you by staff?
We're going to have a dumpster close to the rear door, and whatever the pickup schedule is for that mall will be included in that. But other than that, I don't know.
Okay, the litter collection plan says that, like, if there is trash outside your front door, if
Okay.
it's 10 feet down from your front door, you are responsible as a business owner, when things are slow, not necessarily during the peak of your business, to go out and sort of patrol the area and help keep the area clean.
That is part of the interior cleanliness is a part of the job description, but we'll add it to the job description for our employees.
I mean,
for
basically,
the exterior.
right?
as well.
I mean, basically, for a lot like that, I would assume it's going to be a lot of cleaning the lot, making sure there's not trash out there, as well as kind of inspecting the alley so the trash is not blowing into the residences along Hinman there.
There is a waste can that is just right of the door, and so of course we'll take care of that.
Okay. And you mentioned the garbage pickup is scheduled as part of the lease through the building. Whenever they come and do all of those shops along there, you're just part of that. And do you know how often that is?
I was told it was twice weekly.
Twice weekly?
Yes.
Okay.
Just to note for the record, I did speak with Mr. Murphy about the litter collection and garbage pickup plans, and he indicated that there would be no problem complying with that, and it was also mentioned at Spark.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions from members of the board?
Do you do any real cooking?
No.
No, it's just
No.
basically.
No, not at all. It's self-serve.
And then the stuff that comes is just like put it together and it's there. And then
Right.
the other things you sell come in pretty packaged.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Just was wondering.
There might be frozen pies and frozen cakes that are available, but no preparation on our part at all. No stoves, hot burners, or anything like that. So, no. That's the fun of it, is that you can come in and select the yogurt of your choice and put your own toppings on, and we hope that they will linger, but once they pay, they're out the door. So there's no preparation, cooking at all.
And what amount of business do you anticipate to be people coming in, sitting down, spending time in the store, as well as then people taking their items to go?
What was the first part of your question?
In terms of people coming in and getting their yogurt and sitting down at one of the provided tables versus actually taking it to go. So how much of it do you anticipate to be eaten on site, and how much do you anticipate?
We really want to encourage people to sort of linger. So we are adding some extra kinds of things, a fireplace, if you will, kindness corners, some magazines. Typically with the self-serve yogurt shops, people are in and out, and we want them to sort of linger. So we'll have Wi-Fi, et cetera, so they can buy a little more yogurt too.
So sort of making it somewhat of a cafe
Yes,
experience.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And have you operated businesses like this in the past? You or your husband?
Not like this. This is our third business in Evanston. When we moved here 40 years ago, we owned the Cleaners in, I guess it would be Northwest Evanston for several years. And then my husband just closed down a 35-year vending business that we had throughout Evanston. So this would be our third business.
So you have run small businesses
Yes,
before?
right.
Okay. Other questions from the board?
It
Yeah.
sounds like a great idea for the walkability that Amley is bringing to that area. So
Yes.
sounds
Yeah.
great.
There's a lot of traffic in that mall. People come from everywhere for Walgreens, so we're really banking on that. And then the Chase Bank that is on the opposite side, and the Hunan Springs location. So it looks like it has a lot of traffic, and that area has been upgraded over, as you know, over the last year. So we're kind of excited to be there.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here? I don't see anybody else here who isn't on another matter. So at this point, I'll just ask if there's anything you'd like to say in summation before we begin our deliberation.
No, just that we're excited to get started. And we hope to open our doors soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
With that, we will go ahead and close our record and begin our deliberation on the matter. As was mentioned earlier, this is a newly developed space that has been updated drastically. This whole little stretch of Chicago Avenue within the past 5 years has changed radically with the addition of the Amley building, with the new zero footprint Walgreens, as well as updating the facade of this strip of storefronts along Chicago Avenue. So I think this is exactly the type of business that we would expect to see coming into a space like this. It sounds like it will be a positive impact on the neighborhood and really give people a somewhat of a different opportunity to kind of sit and enjoy their yogurt as opposed to just running in and out of so many places. So other general feelings on the project? If not, we will begin the standards. As I mentioned before, we have a set of standards that we have to adhere to in order to make a positive recommendation. The first of those is the requested special use is in the list of special uses in the zoning ordinance. We are being asked to consider a type 2 restaurant, and this being a C1A commercial mixed use district, we find that as being one of the special uses that is permitted here, so that standard has been met. Number 2, the requested special use is in keeping with the purposes and policies of the comprehensive general plan. This being one of the major arterial roads into Evanston, this is exactly where we would expect to find a small business like this, but it also has the benefit of abutting a residential neighborhood to the east, so it will also be able to garner foot traffic from there as well. And the city has obviously invested a lot into this corridor in terms of finding developers who are willing to invest here as well. So I believe this standard has been met. Number 3, the special use will not cause a negative cumulative effect when its effect is considered in conjunction with the cumulative effect of various special uses of all types in the immediate neighborhood. We have not heard anything from any neighbors who are not happy that a commercial business is coming into a commercial district, which is what we would expect. So I think the fact that the business is planning to go in, they seem to be very excited about it. They have experience in running small businesses. I think this will be a successful operation if City Council decides to approve it, and therefore I believe this standard has been met. Number 4, the requested special use does not interfere with or diminish the value of property in the neighborhood. The people who would be most impacted by this in a residential area are the neighbors along Hinman Avenue. We have not heard from any of them, to my knowledge, that are not encouraged by a commercial business going into this space, so I believe this standard also has been met. Number 5, the requested special use can be adequately served by the public facilities and services. As I mentioned, this particular area of town has had a lot of development in it recently, and has seen upgrades as necessary, as well as the fact that this is an existing space. I believe that this standard has been met. Number 6, the requested special use does not cause undue traffic congestion. I will note that this area can be a little busy at times, as someone who travels through there occasionally. And but I don't believe that bringing in a use such as this is going to make it noticeably more busy or anything like that. So I believe that this standard has been met. Number 7, the requested special use preserves significant historical and architectural resources. I don't believe there are any in this space, and I will note that this particular location has just gone through an upgrade. So I believe that standard number 7 is met. Number 8, the requested special use preserves significant natural and environmental features. I don't believe that there are any of this at this particular site. A number of landscaping things have happened on the properties in that area, but this particular project will not have any impact, I don't believe, on natural or environmental features, so that standard has been met. And number 9, the requested special use complies with all other applicable regulations in the district in which it is located and other applicable ordinances. With this being a restaurant, I'm sure that they will have various licensing that they will have to go through for business as well as food service, but those are not our particular purview, and we have no reason to believe that the individual would not go ahead and pursue all necessary licensing and certification. So I believe that standard has been met. With that, before I ask for a motion, the particular hours that were discussed were an 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Saturday and a 1 to 9 p.m. on Sunday. Question for staff, what type of hours do we have? The Walgreens there, is that it's 24 hours, isn't it?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't use that Walgreens, so I just didn't.
Pharmacy closes at 10. I don't know.
Right, but I thought the
It's open
store
all night.
itself was open 24 hours.
That's
I know that there are a number of other businesses, a couple in the Amley building, as well as this entire stretch. I'm assuming 11 o'clock is not out of the ordinary, though, for something like this, unless somebody has any objections to that.
The only thing I would maybe note is applicants not asking for it, but maybe to extend the Sunday hours just because.
I mean, I would make the recommendation that we just give a blanket set of hours Monday through Sunday and actually allow them to actually move their opening time forward if they so chose. I mean, I don't think we should make a recommendation of an 11 a.m. opening time because they may at some point in the future decide 10 a.m. works better for them. So I would say if we went from a 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Monday through
7
Sunday.
days a week, unless anybody feels strongly differently. So that would be the hours I would ask for in a motion. One of the other things that we often run into in these types of things is encouraging employees to park not in the residential neighborhood to the immediate east.
yes.
So that would be
Hinman
something.
is Hinman permitted behind that far south?
I don't know exactly
First come,
where
first
their
serve.
permit is.
Yeah.
Hinman is down there? Oh, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
And there's a lot of multifamily buildings down
Yes,
there.
there
so,
are.
Yes.
So I would ask for the inclusion maybe that employees cannot park on the streets.
I did a little counting. It actually looks like it's over 50 in the lot,
Okay.
unless Walgreens. Well, I know Walgreens might have taken a few out with the remodel, but there's actually closer to 60.
Okay. So I would just ask for the motion to include street parking, not have street parking by employees, so we can avoid any issues with the neighbors on Hinman. And then obviously the motion would include our typical adherence to the litter collection plan.
The long list.
I'm trying. Right.
So again, the hours we'd be looking at are a 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay.
Adherence to the litter collection plan, and that employees not be permitted to park on the streets, but actually park in the lot, or take the train, which would be even more
Better.
preferred.
Or be local, which is the best of all situations.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
So with that, is there a motion
wanna do
for?
it?
I'm going to take a shot at it.
Okay.
Okay. In the matter of 635 Chicago Avenue, number 7, item number 14ZMJV-0039, I recommend that we approve this special use permit for a Type 2 restaurant with the provisions that the hours are from 9 to 11 p.m. Monday through Sunday, that there is adherence with the litter collection plan, and that 3 employees be encouraged not to park in the residential neighborhood.
And I would just clarify, I'm assuming you mean 9 a.m. and not 9 to 11 p.m.
No, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
All right, thank
Yes,
you.
9 a.m. to
Just
11 p.m.
to be clear, so there's no confusion.
7 days, right?
So there is a motion. Is there a second?
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of recommending approval of 635 Chicago Avenue for a type 2 restaurant, say aye. Aye. Opposed? It has 4 ayes, so it will go to City Council with a recommendation for approval. Good luck with your venture.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. July 7th.
All right. With that, then, we will turn back to the item which we had tabled for 1910 Wesley and ask council if he has any direction for us.
Yeah, I looked at the Zoning Board of Appeals rules, and if the board finds that it needs additional time to be able to make a decision, then we can continue the matter to a date certain after today.
So I guess that falls on us.
I mean, this is my thought on it. I mean, and I guess this is more of a question for Melissa. Was the notice sent to all the neighbors within the required distance? Did it specify that they should contact your office for concerns?
Correct. It has my direct email and phone number
And
on
it specified
there.
that this was the appeal hearing for it, not city council?
Correct.
Okay, I mean, then, as far as I'm concerned, everybody's been noticed, and we should hear the case. I mean, everyone, you know, there may have been some confusion on our part because we deal with this every day, and we assume it's a council issue with parking, but I don't think the average citizen thinks that, especially when they're getting a letter in the
But I
mail.
think, though, that we heard testimony from the alderman that she had specifically stated to people that this would come before council. And that's the only thing that I.
Right, but she also asked them to call Melissa, which we don't have anybody that's called Melissa.
Can I address that? Yeah, that's not unusual. I actually spoke to Melissa when we actually talked about, when you called me about 2100 Jackson, and I said, asked you if you had any concerns then about 1910. You said no. I did make a phone call and ask. People are sometimes reluctant.
Right.
That's why I came tonight, so that I could be here and be a support for them showing up, but they didn't come. So I said to Melissa, have you received a call? She said no, and I said, well, maybe they'll come to council. And that's when she said to me, maybe I was neglectful in reading it, so I certainly didn't realize that it wasn't going to come to council. So that's an oversight on my part.
Let me see if I understand this. Are you saying that, in your opinion, some of the people that were complaining to you believe that they can go and appear at council?
I'm saying to you that that's what I stated.
You told them?
I said you could come, if you know, you can come to council always.
Right.
Because most time people can come to council. I didn't, and I should have read it more carefully. I'll say that. So I'll apologize for that. But again, charge it to my head and not my heart in terms of that. But I felt that I needed to let you know that because I think that it was brought to my attention. So I went by, although I'm very familiar with the area and with Mr. Joyce, who started, I think, purchasing property over there about 1983, 84. So I've known him since then. But I did go by and look at the property, which is, and you gave a great description of it because it is on the alley and bordered Emerson, and looked at it and thought, well, maybe they could have put an extra place in the back. So it was a legitimate question that was raised to me, and I thought it was right to bring it to you.
Thank you, Alderman. If I could have Mr. Joyce come up, please. I have a couple of questions for him. First off, Mr. Tredo has pointed out that our rules do have the ability for not necessarily the alderman, but we as the board can make a continuance of a matter. If we were to continue it, I would ask for a renotice of the case, which means that the zoning department would send out a new letter to everybody informing them of everything. I want to get your feelings on this about whether you have any strong objections. Let me state that just because we continue it does not necessarily mean that we aren't in favor of your project or looking to approve your project. It really doesn't matter on that. The question is more so that if there are people who have concerns that they would like to bring to this board, quite often we try to hear public testimony whenever possible. So I will ask you basically what your thoughts are at this particular point.
Given that there was confusion about this and that some people have some concerns about it, I think it's a very reasonable approach to take. This is only the first time I've come to this board, so if we have to do it a second time and people get re-notified, I think it's a great idea.
All right.
The other thing I'd like to add to it is the primary purpose of the alley, of course, is to be used by driveways, and everyone that has a two-car garage or a single-car garage, either on Emerson or on Wesley or on Jackson, uses the alley. So I'm not asking for any different purpose for the alley than everyone else has.
Right.
Okay.
And then I would just ask, if we do continue it, which I think we probably will, you had mentioned that you had some letters of support as well.
I do. I have signed letters of support. And I'd be happy to ask additional people, if you'd like, to just, they have a copy of the notice and they literally signed it, and I have 3 that were mailed to me, as I mentioned, from one individual who's a property owner of 3 properties, and he just said, I don't even know the man, he just said, I love the project. And then I've talked to 2 other neighbors who said it looks fantastic. But I'll get it in writing if that would be helpful, because you're probably going to kind of look at, well, how many people don't like it and how many think it's reasonable, I guess.
We do consider that, but that's not the sole reason that we on which we decide something. So hearing that Mr. Joyce has no strong objections, if I am understanding you correctly, to us having the matter re-notified and giving anybody who wants to the opportunity to speak either for or against this project, I would be in favor of continuing the matter to our next hearing.
I agree.
That is only the mailed notice I've been asked to specify. It will not be noticed in the newspapers.
I agree.
Fine.
So if there is a motion for a continuance of the matter, I will ask for that now.
I move, let me get my case number here, sorry. I move in the case 1910 Wesley Avenue, CBA 14ZMJV-0031, that we continue the hearing of this case until our next, well, it won't be our next, it will be, because until our next regularly scheduled meeting,
Which will be on...
which will be
20th.
on
The
June...
May 20th.
May 20th. Thanks.
There is a motion for continuance until May 20th. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? With that, the matter will be continued, and it will be renoticed by mail only, giving everybody an opportunity to clearly understand that City Council will not be making the final decision, but that this board will be making the
This is
decision.
their last chance.
This is their chance.
Last chance, yeah.
With that, we have run through the items on our agenda for this evening. Are there any other issues to be brought up? Hearing none, is there a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion for adjournment.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.